He's one of the great actors of his generation, and he's a star in 5 different languages. He started at the age of 3, but today no one can play a woman, a dwarf, or a retarded villager better than he can. But what's the man himself actually like? Judge for yourself as you meet Kamal Haasan. Kamal, I want to start with your intriguing name, Kamal Haasan. It's a unique mixture of both a Hindu name and a Muslim name, but I gather there's a story behind it.
I think the story comes from my father. I think it is a story, or I don't think it's an incident. Most people are led to believe that there was a Muslim friend my father had, and his name was Hassan, and my father gave it to us. That must have been an afterthought. Most biographies have this afterthought.
What do you think actually happened?
I think he believed in naming his children with strange Sanskrit names. So he named his first son Charu Haasan and Chandra Haasan. Haasan being a derivative of the word Hasya, and which means the man who smiles like Krishna, man who smiles like the moon, Chandra Haasan. And
so Kamal Haasan is the smiling lotus.
The smiling lotus, like Dances with the Wolves or some name like that. And that's all there is to it. And I think the communal harmony part came later. What must have been playing in my father's mind as an ex-congressman.
So he justified what was in fact a joke by giving it a little twist in a story.
No, he was trying to give more meaning to a simple act.
Okay, you were born quite late in your parents' life, and both your brothers are really quite a lot older than you, 18 years and 23 years. Were you terribly spoiled?
No, the spoiling happened a little later. I did it on myself, all by myself. They were nice to me. They were kind. I mean, that's how a child would be treated. And if I had a late marriage and a late child,
you do exactly the same thing yourself.
And I wouldn't consider it being spoiled, but I grew up in a different environment where the sibling rivalry was not silly.
It was serious.
It was competitive. It was serious. So one really had to wake up. I really had to grow up or be left behind.
Anything your brothers did, you had to do better.
Try to do at least, or really catch up. So
well, you began at a very early age, didn't you? Because at the age of 3.5, which is astonishingly young, you made your first film, Kallakurichi, and I believe it was almost an accident.
Yes, we are from a village called Paramukudi. My mother came for treatment to Madras, and I was also sent along while the rest of them stayed back so that I'll get some convent education. But I ended up in a filmland party. Lady doctor friend of the family took me there, and they were looking for a child actor, and here I was, picked up.
It was a little bit more than that, wasn't it? You recited a Shivaji Ganeshan role, and the film director who was at the party was so impressed he snapped you up at once.
He was a producer himself, amitabh, the man behind the great institution AVM Studios. My brother must have secretly nourished an idea of entering films, because he was supposed to be doing law, but he was an assistant director in films, it seems. My parents came to know of it later. So he must have had this idea, you know, sort of...
elder brother engineered it.
Engineering this child to remember dialogue.
So in fact the competition was only from your side. He was actually helping his younger brother.
Yes, yes, yeah. So, but we, as a child, I didn't know. So I thought the guy who was talking to the parrot is actually trying to have a conversation and not teaching it.
I suspect you're being modest, because the other gift that you were born with was the gift of music. I'm told that even at the young age of 4, you could do an extremely good imitation of Muhammad Rafi.
Well, I think they're being kind. That helps when you're the last child in the family, because they're kind to you. All of them were extremely well trained in Carnatic music, the whole family, except my father, who couldn't sing for nuts. And probably he was the pressure behind to make his children learn music.
He wanted his children to actually learn to sing
So
properly.
I lived in an environment of music. There was my brother singing while eating. You could hear songs wafting through the bathroom windows and things like that. So it was natural. The environment was perfect. And always I was made to listen to Hindi songs and say, which film is that? And it's not a normal thing that happens in families. It's just background ambience. It's like a calendar fluttering in the
But you were a
window.
precocious child who picked it up.
Yes, and they kept asking me these general knowledge questions.
So the brothers were pushing you actually
Probably, yes.
So from an early age they were actually modeling you.
Yes.
But you did in fact once sing for Muhammad Rafi, didn't you?
Because AVM Studio is a great playground, especially when you're a child. And I was doing this film, and the Hindi films were being shot. I don't remember this actual incident when I sang for Prafi Saab, but my brother must have been probably very proud because
He says you sang Dil Dekhe Dekho.
Dil Dekhe Dekho, Dil Dekhe Dekho.
Do you remember the song?
Yes, because that's one thing.
Can you sing it now?
But not as well as Rafi Saab. But for a child, it was a happy Dil Dekhe Dekho, Dil Dekhe Dekho, Dil Dekhe Dekho ji. Na 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 na. See, I don't even know the lyrics. The reason is I was a pure Tamil boy who didn't understand these words. But the reason why I remember the song is Shami Saab was shooting in AVM, Shami Kapoor Saab. And the only thing I remember, it's a child's memory. It eschews all that it doesn't want or understand. I remember that Shami Kapoor Saab was it for this film? I don't know. He was kicking a football and singing a song on a stage. And I was standing beside the camera, and he gave it a hefty kick, and it hit me in the solar plexus. I was winded. And that's how I first met Shami Kapoor Saab. I was out of breath, but there are other maidens who say that they went out of breath when they saw him, but that's for another reason.
But in fact, at that stage, it wasn't just acting that you were involved in when you were young. By the time you became 10, 11, you became very interested in dancing, and shortly after that you also took professional lessons in singing.
I think I was looking for an excuse to get away from school, because I lost this halo behind my head when I lost my front teeth. I ceased to have the qualifications of a child actor. So I was thrown out and into school, which must have been very troubling for me. Yet another accident saved me, and I fell into the right hands. Actually, I fell through the stairwell of Hindu high school. I slipped and fell. I was the notorious boy who fell and didn't die. And Mr. T.K. Shanmugam asked, who's this boy who didn't die? He's acted in some films. Oh, he's an actor, is it? Then we should take him for our children's play that we're planning. That's how I entered T.K. Shanmugam troupe.
But at one point in time, in fact, you took your dancing very seriously. Today I know you're laughing at it, but you almost did 6 hours a day of practice for 2 years.
That's after Shanmugam Saab's training. I had 3 beautiful years of stage career where every evening after school was with them. I was part of their family. His children were also there.
Were you as a child driven to do these things, or was it in fact your parents who were pushing you?
They were also doing that. But I think my main reason was I couldn't stay in school. I couldn't take it.
You hated school?
I had wonderful teachers. It's not that...
The student in you was the problem?
Yes. That's my problem. The schools were good, but I didn't want to be there. I don't know whether it was ours or the rigid discipline, probably the shape of the desk or the shape of my head. I don't know what it is, but I wanted to get...
But school you hated?
And I found excuses to be out of it, and I told my mother I have a shortcut to matriculation. I could learn dance and also do matriculation. She by then must have guessed that I'm not going to be a great scholar and a degree holder. So at least she said he's willing to learn something, let him learn. That's when dance started, after T.K. Shanmugam.
And then, of course, a little later, you got 2 big breaks in the film world, with Arangetam and then again even with Apurva Ragangar. Did you realize that in fact you weren't going to be a dancer? You were going to become Kamal Haasan, the great actor? Nothing
was planned. As a dancer, I wanted to be Uday Shankar Saab. Then, as I went and I had some view of the world, I did about 40, 50 programs in Maharashtra. And when I came back, I'd broken my leg on stage doing some acrobatic stuff. And they said, you won't be able to dance again. So I was working with Christian Arts and Communication Center, spreading the word of Christ to the world. And then somebody said, we need a dance assistant in films, and they picked me up as an assistant choreographer.
So one more accident led to film?
Yes.
It's a whole career of accidents, isn't it?
I'm probably trying to find proper quotations, but that's how it happened. But it's another accident which sort of took me to...
But the amazing thing is, it's not just Tamil films that you've done. You've done films in Hindi, you've done them in Telugu, in Kannada, in Malayalam. I mean, do you speak all these languages fluently, or is it just enough to be able to say your lines?
I will speak, as far as Bengali and Kannada goes, I don't think I can speak anything but lines.
But Malayalam?
Malayalam, I converse in Malayalam and Telugu and Tamil, and since my wife speaks Hindi, I speak Hindi at home.
Hindi is the language you speak at home with the family?
Sometimes. Hindi, English.
Yet the funny thing is that although you've done great Hindi movies like Ek Duje Ke Liye, Hindustani and Sagar, you've never made the same impact in the north as you have in the south. What do you think's been the problem?
It's a question of numbers, how many times you appear for the exams. You keep trying, you win. Like it's 200 films in my career now, approximately. And out of which I think 175 are in southern languages.
And just a handful of Hindi?
Yeah. So
why haven't you done more?
It's impractical logistic wise, because a Hindi film takes a long time, unless it's by Govind Nihalani Sahab, Shyam Benegal or Rishi Kesh Mukherjee Sahab, who sort of planned a movie.
So you've never had the time that a Hindi movie requires? Your career has been moving in other places?
The time that they lavish on a Hindi film I don't have, because it's not just time, it's a lifetime. One has to be careful how he spends it, and I think I've spent it wisely down south. And
okay, while you've been spending time on your career, you've had 2 marriages, one with Vani Ganapati and now with the actress Sarika. Have you found happiness at last?
Yes, I'm quite happy now. I have 3 women to love in one home.
That's 2 daughters as well.
2 daughters. They're all lovely women and good-looking women, intelligent women. Usually these 2 things don't go. It applies to men also.
There's a story people say that Kamal Haasan likes women with green eyes. They say it after Hey Ram, where both your heroines have green eyes, and I believe Sarika has them too.
And one of my daughters have that, and brown eyes too. Lest my daughter Shruti isn't left out. I have brown eyes, lest I'm not left out. My grandmother had green eyes. Some of my brothers, my relatives, cousins, sisters, they have green eyes.
So green eyes really is a fascination as the story goes.
Yeah, it's there in the family, so you like people who resemble. See, I actually like Amresh Puri Saab a lot. Apart from his talent, I said there must be something else that makes me like this man like a brother. The reason is that he looks a lot like my uncles.
Because of the green eyes?
No, well, because of the way he's structured, my maternal uncles. So that's how you choose your likes and dislikes, what you've grown up with.
Kamal, let's take a break at that point. I want to come back in part 2 and talk to you about some of the screen roles that you've literally done with magic. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is Kamal Haasan. Kamal, let's talk a little about your screen roles. You've played a large number of unconventional roles. You've played a woman, a mentally retarded villager, a dwarf, Saket Ram in Hey Ram, and a silent role in Pushpak. Have these all just happened by accident, or have you been deliberately trying to break the mold?
No, it's not an accident at all. It's a very deliberate, risky choice that I chose to make in the beginning of my career. As a matter of fact, I didn't want to become an actor at all. I came in to be a technician, a director behind the camera. I wanted to become a writer, wanted to direct, because there was this belief that director was the auteur of the whole thing. So it was yet another happy, painless accident that I was chosen to be an actor, not a technician.
And then you decided, if I'm going to have to be an actor, I'm going to play unusual roles because I want to defy public perception every time.
No, because I could clearly, I couldn't lock myself into the hands of luck and the turn of the dice. It's too dangerous, and I knew that I was not a great gambler. So I thought that...
How strange. So unconventional roles is your way of playing safe?
Yes, that's what I thought, because longevity mattered to me. So the best way is to go all the way and make a speciality of it, so that you're free to do what you want. It's simple as that. The logic is so simple that you go all the way.
Only when you say it. Until you said it, people would have thought exactly the opposite.
Yes, they would have thought I'm one of those eccentric, loony kinds. I didn't want to run with the herd, because otherwise I'd have been in school.
Tell me this, you've never trained as an actor, so do you play your roles by instinct?
No, by producer's expense. I've been
provided the money is good enough, the performance comes.
And also I've been spending other people's money while I learn. On film, Probably sometimes I made them flop, sometimes they succeeded. I learned. So it's 200 films training. I'm now ready to become an actor.
Okay, tell me about some of the roles you've actually performed on screen which everyone remembers. For instance, in Apu Raja you play a dwarf and you play it very credibly. But what did you do with your legs?
We didn't expose them.
But where did you put them?
Wherever you suspect it is, we didn't put them there. That's rule number one, because we knew that whatever you suspect that we did with the leg, we did it all.
What did you actually do? Did you actually
People
bind
said
them?
that we put it behind, and so when you see this way, you don't see this part, you're like this. But then we showed it this way. And then we did one more double take where he crosses his leg.
That's right.
So we wanted to keep them guessing. It's more magic than cinema. And a little bit of
So it was trick
performance.
photography at the end of it all.
Not just trick. We kept diverting your eyes. I did this and pulled out something from here while the hand was diverting attention. We pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
And what about Sadma, the movie for which I believe you won your first national award, the first of 4 that you went on to win? That's a movie where you bring an enormous, unbelievable emotional intensity. Was it a difficult film to act in?
Oh, it's the most comfortable film. I was languishing. I could read between shots. I was happy. There are very few films which I did that way. I did whatever I want in between shots, walked into the shot, and we had a good director.
So this emotion that was demanded of you was not reflected in the work you had to put in?
No, yes, it is there. You just have to emote. But after some time, when you like something and you understand it, then it's not such an effort.
It just comes easily.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure the first time you get up on a cycle, it's very difficult. All your limbs are taut and trying to keep your balance, but then you
Okay, but
start singing.
Pushpak in a sense was then the opposite, because there you played a silent role. Was that a constraint, or in a strange way was it a release?
Because in Pushpak, I was not just merely the actor. We enacted the film together, the director and I. He gave me a very free hand. We work in a great collaboration. So Pushpak was not easy. It was a tiring job, because we used to get up at 6 in the morning and keep improvising. And it's not written notes with which you work on. So it's physically arriving on the solution.
So you were creating as you were acting?
Yes. So it'll be over and over again. It'll improve with every take. So we thought, instead of wasting film, we'd keep on rehearsing. So we'd rehearse the next day's scene the previous day, over and over again. And after 8 hours rest, you'll come up with one more idea, which will change the whole stuff. But it is incredible budget, and was finished in about 40 days, I think.
How much was someone like Chaplin in your mind? Because it's very Chaplin-esque, the film.
Oh yes, Chaplin is a very important father figure in my life. So is Buster Keaton.
So in a real sense, you were in fact following in the footsteps of 2 people you consider gurus.
Yes, they're the parents of that kind of comedy. I liked Harold Lloyd also, what they unfortunately call the third genius. You can't give a rank for genius, but they call him the third genius. But they're all influences, and very many Tamil actors too.
Let's talk a little about your latest film, Hey Ram, which has opened up last month in India. It's a movie, I get the feeling, with a message. Am I right?
Yeah, a few years back I would have got offended and said, I'm not a postman. I'm not here to deliver messages, not a courier bag. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm trying to say something. You take the message you want, but ultimately we're trying to say something. And
what is it that you're saying?
Is it quit the farce and let's live as brothers.
And therefore it's a message to people who are communal and sectarian.
Sectarian, and it will all happen again. Don't think it's in the past, and don't think it's a thing, and don't get
So
bored.
it's a warning as well?
It is a warning, at least from my side. That's why there are places where I underline a little more, reiterate a point a little harder than it should be. Some might accuse me of over-dramatizing it, but we have to keep...
There's a lot of comment, and in fact in Calcutta there have been even protests about the depiction of Gandhi. Let me put this to you. In your movie as director, how do you see Gandhi?
what's more important is how do I see Gandhi myself, because I'm the writer of this film, producer and the director. So that gives me absolute control over this. So what matters is what I think of him.
What do you think
He's
of
a
him?
very important man, and we cannot afford to deify him. We lose him if we deify him. We lose him to the gods, and then he can never be emulated.
So in fact, in the movie, you're consciously restoring him to human status.
Human status and cutting him out of mythology. I'm cutting burning all the bridges that will lead him to mythological mates.
Are you also doing something else? Are you also re-evaluating him? In a sense, are you suggesting that perhaps some of his achievements aren't as great as mythology has made them out to be?
No, in the process of de-deifying him, this is bound to happen. It looks like I am making a critical analysis. But like all teenagers, there's this disregard for any respected icon. Sometimes it's a god, sometimes it's a political leader, sometimes it's just a school teacher or a headmaster or your own parents. But it's bound to happen when you call your father an old man, an old lady, and things like that.
Is it then also bound to happen that people will criticize what you're doing because they'll misunderstand?
Yes, because it's like criticizing Shakespeare for taking Brutus's side when Mark Antony speaks his line about Caesar. And they're not looking at the final import of the message.
But is there a danger that the audience may misunderstand, that instead of seeing Gandhi in a new human light, they may actually see him as if he's been insulted by you?
No, that's only people who hear about the film. Unfortunately, this is not a radio play, it's a movie, so you've got to see it. And those people who've been making, rabble-rousing about the film are those who haven't seen it.
So in other words, the proof of the pudding lies in the eating. Go see the movie for yourselves.
Yes, that's what I would say. Apart from wanting to sell tickets, there's also a reason. The argument cannot be on a level ground if you've not seen it.
Tell me, you've made a lot of movies and you've done a lot of roles. Your fans say there's actually nothing left for Kamal Haasan to do now. I imagine you're going to prove them wrong. You've got a couple of tricks up your sleeve.
That's the reason why I'm the actor and they're the audience, I presume, because they have limited their mind to thinking what I can play and what I should play.
So you're going to tell us what next?
Well, I'm doing a road kind of a film. It's about two friends, two enemies who become friends through travel. And it's a happy film, and I'm already writing another film.
When do we get to see it?
I hope soon. As a producer, I would say everything should happen fast and within budget.
Well, that's something for us all to look forward to. Kamal Haasan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.